Mrs. Viramontes, can you please read our mission statement?
Yes, Madam President. The Gadsden Independent School District will ensure that all students will learn by putting education first. The district will provide quality educational opportunities conducive to learning that will facilitate students' individual goals.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to our Superintendent Dempsey's district updates and recognition. Superintendent Dempsey.
Madam President, board members, thank you for attending this evening. Welcome. Our first item this evening is our GO bond election, and I'm going to need a little bit of help from two individuals, Ms. Vela and Mr. Carmona. And so I think we're all aware that in November's election, we have a GO bond coming up. Each of you should have a pamphlet. And I believe what will happen here is we'll have a copy of this pamphlet going home with every student. And then we've also, each of you received some signs that you can put in your yard. And we have on all district vehicles a message as well, encouraging people to get out and vote. Those are on the back of each of our district vehicles, okay? Nancy, did I miss anything that, no, I covered it, all right, well, terrific, I paid attention. And then, you know, wanting to be sure that we utilize what we've traditionally done and include social media options and those pieces. Mr. Carmona will share how we're going to utilize that component.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Dempsey, good evening. I do want to assure you that we have a very good schedule. Mr. Gallegos went above and beyond and gave me specific dates that he would like certain things posted on social media that educate the public about what those funds have been used for in the past, and also the proposed projects that would be funded if the GO bond is approved. So I've just got a brief outline of the dates and sort of the general theme of those messages that will be going out on Twitter, Facebook, and our website. I stand for any questions should you have any.
Questions, comments, concerns? Amanda?
Madam President, I like that you put on here that your property tax will not increase, because we're in New Mexico, we have a state tax. It doesn't increase your property tax, it just renews the property tax that we have, correct?
Correct, and that is already what we've started, you know, sort of putting out there, that it's not going to increase our property taxes, and we've also translated that flyer into Spanish. So.
Right. It's because we're close to neighbors that increase property taxes, so we got to make sure we put it out there.
That's true. Good point.
I just want to make a comment. I was able to attend on Monday evening the Chaparral Community Development Association at the, I forget, the Betty, not the Betty McKnight. Yeah, the Betty McKnight building, and so I took the opportunity. The board president of the CCDA allowed me to always make announcements, and so I did go ahead and let them know that on the ballot that our GO bond would be there, and yes, that their taxes would not be increased.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, terrific. We'll continue working on that. Thank you, Mr. Carmona and Ms. Vela. Next item is, it's really, you know, across the state of New Mexico, it takes a lot of work and a lot of people doing things in unique ways. And I was really excited to hear that our athletic director, Ms. Karen Nugis, was recognized by the New Mexico Activities Association as Athletic Director of the Year. And so I just want to recognize Ms. Nugis. I was going to say stand up, but I think she was. She might have been already standing up. So, but there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into extracurricular activities. Just the scheduling will give you a headache to look at. And, you know, there's been struggles. Pandemic has brought upon different aspects of this, and we've continued to work to try to make the adjustments to remain aligned to New Mexico Department of Health and PED regulations, and still give our kids and students an opportunity to participate. And that's been a challenge, and we're continuing to meet that challenge, and Ms. Nugis has been a voice to ensure our students get to continue to have that opportunity. So thank you, Ms. Nugis, for all the work you do. Okay. Next item I have, this is something that you do not get to do every day. And we've mentioned it, but I felt like it was very important to put it on an official agenda. Ms. Savaggio, she is actually, Ms. Savaggio is preparing for the celebration that is happening tomorrow. Mesquite Elementary will be recognized as a national Blue Ribbon School. That's now our 4th in Gadsden Blue Ribbon School. This is one of 3. There are only 3 schools in the state of New Mexico being recognized as this, and Mesquite is one. I think if you were to look back, I think Ms. Savaggio told me, I think it's been 8 years that she's been there. I thought she told me somewhere in that range. But when she came in, if you'll recall, New Mexico had its grading system in place, and she took over an F school. And the last 2 years that the grading system was, and now you get recognized as National Blue Ribbon. So you talk about work and effort to turn a school around and making sure that we're focused on academics. I think she would tell you, and you'll see tonight a portion of a presentation, and I would challenge you to watch very closely when we talk about chronic absenteeism, and pay attention Mesquite's number right now. It's impressive. And you can't teach kids if they don't come to school. And somehow she has worked with that community to emphasize and partner with them the importance of attending school, because it's in their numbers, and those numbers are what they are. And you'll see that tonight. So just wanted to recognize her in that work and effort, okay? And then the next item, I am incredibly proud to introduce Ms. Kimberly Flores, who is a 12th grader at DPA, and she is our student representative this evening. Kimberly? Yeah, that's your turn. Yeah.
Good evening, Madam President, Superintendent Dempsey, and Gadsden School Board members. I'm so sorry, I'm so nervous. My name is Kimberly Flores. I am a senior at Desert Pride Academy. I am honored to be the student representative for Desert Pride. You know, this is like my first time doing anything for the school, so like I'm kind of like really proud of myself, because yes. And one thing I want to say is Desert Pride is let me rephrase that. It is the best school in the district. It really is. I went to Chaparral High School. It's a really good school, but Desert Pride, man. A lot of people be saying that, oh, Desert Pride is bad for bad kids, or, only bad kids go there, because, some people fight and they get transferred to Desert Trail. I'm sorry. Desert Pride. And I was really nervous to be transferred to Desert Pride, because, I don't want to hang out with bad people. But when I went in there, I was really nervous. I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I'm just like, there's no good people here. But it really isn't a bad school. It's really great. It really is. I see the principal every single day. There's not one day that I don't see her, like, at all. Like, if I don't see her, I'm gonna be like, where's she at? Like, where's my girl at? And I was like, and the teachers, oh my God, I love the teachers. Like, they really have patience for their students. They treat us like their own kids. Like, they worry about you. Like, they really know, like, when something's wrong with you. Like, if they see something's wrong with you, they'll be like, oh, you need to see a nurse, you need to see a counselor, are you okay? You need me to do something? Like, what can I do to help you? And that really makes me feel comfortable to be around the teachers. I could talk to them about anything, ask them questions. I'm not shy, I'm really outgoing and all that. And one thing I do want to mention is that when we started school on August 2nd, we started 60% with attendance, and as is now, we are at 80%, which is really great. our goal now is to get to 85%, which I think we'll make it, and I'm sure we are, because every Thursday, Ms. Lugwood and Ms. Payan always comes to every class towards the end, and they bring us like treats, like chips, chocolates, pencils, everything. You know, every Thursday, man, I'm not gonna miss no school. I'm like, I gotta have my snacks, you know, I love food. I eat all day. I could eat all day, you know. So I'll be expecting that treats every Thursday. My little chips, my chocolate, my candy, and everything. And the teachers really do motivate you, you know, they push you, like, you know, you gotta keep going, you can't stop, you know, if you need help, you ask me, and we'll talk it out. I'll help you as much as I can, and I'll explain it different ways so you could understand.